Hi guys, this is Sam from SAP Careers and Job Seekers Group. Today I'd like to talk about the difference between the old world and the new world. So in the old world, we had 5 phases of the projects, and in the new world, which is the cloud solutions, we still have those 5 phases. So let's get started on seeing what is the fundamental difference with the old approach and the new approach. So the old approach had, number one, it used a waterfall methodology. And let me explain what waterfall methodology means. It means you start with projects preparation. So you prepare and get what you call it the project charter signed off. Number two, you do a requirement gathering, which was business requirement analysis document. And you document both functional and technical requirements, and you document what we call as the business blueprint. Now, there are two aspects to business blueprint. One is the functional design document. The second is the technical design document. So the functional design document actually includes, number one, business process. It includes, number two, process narrative. Number three, enterprise structure or organization structure, which is the company departments and divisions. Number four, it includes master data. So master data is of two types. There is a static master data and there is a dynamic master data. The static master data is something that really stays consistent over a long period of time and does not change. And dynamic master data can change based on the needs of the business. The last thing that you need to worry about is the transactional data. So the transactional data again has to be documented, which is the document type, or we call document DIR, document information records. So there you go. You will have to document the business requirements and blueprints as the phase two. Phase three, you will actually do realization. In the realization phase, you do two things. Number one, you will configure or do system setups, and it generates what we call as transports or configuration, storage, saving areas with a unique ID. Or it will generate what we call as a customization request, which is a program that you create and it generates a unique ID for your program. These programs need to be moved from development to quality and quality to production, and they are known traditionally as transports. So realization would be the third phase. Final preparation and go live is the fourth phase. Final preparation, what you do unit testing, you do integration test, you also do what we call as user acceptance test. You also do a dry run of data migration, and you do a dry run for the cutover process. And it's extremely important to do this in the fourth phase, which is realization. The final phase that we work on is called cutover and go live. What happens in the cutover is your transports or your configuration and customization changes are moved from development to quality, where your UAT is done or user acceptance test is done, and ultimately they are moved to production. So this production window is normally usually over a weekend, maybe Saturdays, Sundays, or a maintenance window. And once you cut over, you have to do data migration. So data migration is done both at the master data and the transactional data level. And the final phase is operational support and ongoing innovation and enhancements. So that would be the last phase, which says, once you go live, you need critical care or hypercare, and then there's operational support handed off to the help desk and 4 level of supports. Most of the time you use application like ServiceNow or Jira or Service Desk or any other application that the company might be comfortable with. Now, this is talking about the waterfall methodology and the ASAP methodology. Now, let's talk about the new methodology. What is the new project methodology, guys? This methodology uses an approach called Agile or Scrum. Now, what happens in Agile and Scrum compared to the old methodology is we do iterative approach. So that means in the old project management methodology, we would use change management as a tool to request changes, and change approval board would be required to make those changes. In the new project management methodology, the Activate and the Agile methodology, it's called Activate in case of SAP, Agile and Scrum-based approach, you will welcome those changes And since you are doing it in an iterative manner, that means you are doing it in a cyclic role, and then you will do it either in waves or you will do it in sprints. And what will happen with each sprint, you welcome the changes that the business is looking for. The more the changes, the longer the project goes on, and it's a journey to excellence. It just doesn't have to end more like waterfall where you complete the project and close the project. In agile approach, we will continue to do our journey to excellence, and we'll keep the excellence going in phases or in cycles. So we have cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, cycle 4, and it really depends how many cycles the business feels comfortable with. And it can be an ongoing effort even after you go live. So in SAP world, this is called activate methodology. So that's the number one difference, that we do not do a start and end. We do a iterative or a scrum based or a agile based approach in the activate methodology. Second, that the methodology is more suited to a cloud solution where the data center hosts your application, or we call it as PaaS, platform as a service. And then you would basically use a template-based approach, what we call as business best practices. So what SAP has done, it has pre-configured these business scenarios and kept them in the scoping stage. So in the scoping stage, you will choose your basic scenario, and you'll also choose an industry-specific scenario. So industry-specific scenario, for example, is if you're doing oil and gas, you could choose a joint venture accounting or a production revenue accounting. If you are in the public sector accounting, you could use PSCD, which is public sector collection and disbursement. If you are in the utility sector, you could use FICA, which is financials, contract accounting, right? Or you could also use FDA process in a pharmaceutical industry, which is very specific to the healthcare sector. So what will happen is you will actually go out and choose those specific process which is tuned to the industry you're trying to implement. And this is a pre-configured best practices, and this is done in the scoping stage in the cloud environment. So this is called prepare and explore. The first phase would be discover, which is more like getting to know the cloud solution. Then it is prepare and explore. So in prepare and explore, it's synonym to doing a blueprint and what we call as a fit gap analysis. Fit gap analysis means how much can I adapt the SAP best practice? And if I cannot adapt, how much of customization, how many changes I have to do, both in terms of standard configuration settings and also in terms of coding or customization settings. So that would be discover, explore, and prepare phase. And these phases are in the activate methodology. The name activate really came from, hey, you got a ready-made process, pre-configured scenario, you only need to activate that. However, there's the fit gap analysis, which will say that this doesn't fit. The best practices exactly 100% never would fit 100%. In many cases, it might fit, but in a lot of cases, it may not fit. So you do need around 20 to maybe 10% of customization to the minimum. And it'll be great fit if you can implement with zero customization, but in most cases, there is customization requirement. Now, again, this would differ from a private cloud to the public cloud. The next phase that we'll do is realize, which is same as the previous realize phase. And in the realize phase, you will basically do same thing. You will do customization, you will do configuration, you will do unit testing, you'll do integration testing, you'll do scenario tests, you'll do positive and negative tests, and you'll also conduct the user acceptance test. There is a phenomenon of change management process where you will say, hey, this is the old way of doing it, and this is the new way of doing it. What are the changes required in order to move forward to the cloud? And that will also fall under the realize phase. The last phase, well, in the previous project phase was cut over and go live and support. In this phase, we call it deploy and run. And deploy and run is the same as cut over process. So what you would do is you will do the user acceptance test. You might have a pre-prod server where you'll benchmark and say how the response is going to be. So what we will do, we'll copy the data, right? We'll synchronize the data from the production to the pre-prod. So the data load is same. And then we might use a load test application like a load runner in order to check the response time at the peak. You do not want your application to fail at the peak loads. So once you do the pre-prod testing, then you will cut over or you will transport those to the production environment. And in cloud, say, cloud environment, you would call it a synchronize the cloud instances from quality to the production instance. And finally, there would also be support, so which is called deploy and run. So deploy means you have moved to the production, and then you will again do the same thing as a hypercare. You'll do the data loads, which is data migration. Both in you might have to do ETL or ELT. ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. That means you will not change the data. You might change the format or the properties of the data, but the data itself doesn't change. You can also do, instead of ETL, you can do extract, load, and transform. So basically, you copy the data from the production environment of your legacy system, and then you change the data, and then you load it, or you first load the data, and then you transform it. Typically, a transformation means if you have 1st of January 2024 written, you will say 01012024. So the text itself has changed to numbers or numerics. However, the meaning of the data doesn't really change. So this is called transformation. However, in some cases, you might have to do conversion. Conversion basically means I can change the data totally. For example, cats in Africa might be called as lion in another country, or tiger in another country. So that means you have to basically do 100% change. And in data conversion, you might have to write conversion programs. So after cutover, you will do data migration. In some cases, you will have to convert, do transformation or conversion, right? As the case may be. So that could be complicated depending on the volume of the data, both master data and transactional data. So in the cloud solution, we have Migration Cockpit, which is originally using a tool called Data Services. So it's pretty much simple or graphical in terms of nature, and it's become fairly easy compared to what it was previously. So once you have cut over on the cloud instance, or you have synchronized the two cloud instances both from QA to production, you will do same thing as the other methodology, which was called the ASAP methodology, or the waterfall methodology, to the agile or the scrum methodology, or the activate methodology. That means you will actually go out and support and do a hypercare, level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4 support. Level 1 is a business. So in case a client business person comes and says, I have a problem with your sales process, then actually he'll go to the sales head. The sales head might explain to him that this is not the old process we are following, this is the new process we are following. In case the sales head cannot help it at level 1 support, you'll go to level 2, which is a help desk. They do basic troubleshooting and triage. The level 3 support is the consultant, which is people like us will actually go and tweak the system, either customize or configure. If it can be just changed by mouse click, it's called configuration. If it needs to write a small program, which is rarely the case now, it's called customization. And finally, you will actually go to level 4 support. The level 4 support is where you might have to talk to multiple vendors. So you might have a hardware vendor, you might have to talk to SAP, you might have to talk to your internet service provider, you might have to talk to a server resource, or you might have to talk to a desktop application person from Microsoft. So that is level 4 support, which coordinates multiple resources or partners. Even it could be a vendor, it could be a bank, it could be any of your business partners. So that is level 4 support. So once you have supported at level 4, then it's moved on to the operational team, which kind of takes over. So there you go, guys. This is the fundamental difference between the old waterfall or ASAP methodology of SAP versus cloud methodology, which is called Activate, and it has come from Agile or Scrum methodology. So I hope I've cleared this concept of old project methodology versus new. It's very important to understand this. This is a template-based approach with pre-configured scenarios, and you need to activate and do a fit gap analysis. So I look forward to share more knowledge with you in future, and this is an important concept for all the consultants who are moving from the old system to the new system, and this is going to be more and more prevalent in future. So you have to know this. It's not an option. It's not a choice. It's a must know kind of application area or implementation area, I would say. So there you go, guys. Signing off for you. This is Sam. Do like and subscribe this channel. I'm going to share important concepts in future with you guys so that your career progresses seamlessly and you are able to leverage it to get better compensation in your roles as a consulting career that you are kind of building up or you're trying to scale it up. Thank you, guys. And this is Sam signing off. Thank you.